The night sky above the orbiting station was alive with streaks of light. Ships of all shapes and sizes zipped past like fireflies, each leaving trails of color behind them. Among them, the small shuttle Stellar Dove drifted slowly, almost lazily, as its human pilot, Max Harrington, adjusted the navigation panel. Max was not your typical pilot. He wasn't part of the interstellar fleet, nor a decorated explorer. He was just a good problem solver. People called him when things went sideways, and tonight, things had gone sideways. Very sideways. It had started earlier that evening at the Galactic Diplomatic Lounge. Max wasn't supposed to be there. He had merely stopped by to grab a late-night meal and recharge his shuttle. The lounge was buzzing with diplomats, traders, and species Max couldn't even begin to name. But he had noticed one particularly wobbly figure staggering near the docking bay. The alien, tall, green, and with a shimmering translucent skin that reflected the lounge lights, was clearly having trouble maintaining balance. Its name, according to the ID tag on its uniform, was Grivak. "Excuse me," Max said, leaning over. "Do you need a shuttle?" "Do you need a shuttle?" Grivak blinked several times. Its large eyes swirled with what looked like liquid gold. Shuttle? It slurred. Yes, shuttle." Max frowned. He didn't normally interact with diplomats, and certainly not drunk ones. But something about Grivak seemed desperate. Max didn't ask questions. He had learned a long time ago that in space, sometimes it was better to act first and ask questions later. "All right," Max said. "I'll give you a ride, but you have to tell me where you live. And try not to spill anything on my shuttle." Grivak gave a hiccup that sounded suspiciously musical. It took half an hour just to get Grivak into the shuttle without him tripping over his own limbs. Max had to adjust the gravity inside. And even then, the alien kept floating in odd directions. The interior lights flickered as Grivak accidentally touched a few panels. But Max, patient as ever, kept everything under control. Finally, with a sigh, Max secured Grivak in the passenger chair. The alien waved weakly and whispered, "Thank you, human. You." "Good," Max smiled. "I try." The shuttle lifted off, slipping smoothly into the traffic of orbiting ships. Max engaged the autopilot to let him relax for a moment. Grivak, however, was fascinated by everything. "What? That light?" it asked, pointing to a passing cargo ship. "That's a freighter heading to Mars colony," Max replied. "It carries building materials." Grivak's eyes widened. "Human. Build. Big?" Max chuckled. "We like to build big." There was a silence, but it was comfortable. Max could see the alien relaxing, and he felt a strange warmth. He had never had much experience with other species outside of work-related meetings. But there was something sincere in Grivak's curiosity. After a long moment, Grivak shifted and pointed at a blinking beacon in the distance. "Home. There. Very close." Max checked the coordinates. The beacon led to a sleek ship anchored in a small orbit near a tiny moon. Its design was unlike anything Max had ever seen. It wasn't metallic, it looked more like liquid crystal, with soft curves that reflected the stars in dazzling patterns. "You live there?" Max asked, eyebrows raised. Grivak nodded, eyes twinkling. "Yes. Partner. Waits." Max didn't press further. He had a hunch that he was about to meet the partner and that whatever happened next would not be boring. As the shuttle docked, Grivak began humming softly, a tune that was strangely soothing. Max reached out instinctively to steady him. The docking clamps hissed and clicked, and with a smooth shudder, the Stellar Dove was secure. The airlock opened. The first thing Max noticed was the scent. Not unpleasant, but sweet. Like a garden full of strange, alien flowers. Then he saw her. Or rather, it. Another alien, taller than Grivak, with a gentle glow that illuminated the docking bay. "Welcome," the being said. Its voice was melodic, almost like a song. "I am Lysera. Thank you for bringing Grivak home safely. Max blinked. You're welcome. I didn't really have a choice. Lysera's eyes twinkled. Perhaps. But still. Your kindness is... Noted. Grivak, now sitting comfortably, waved one long, thin arm toward Lysera. Partner. Meet human. Saved me. Hick. Lysera's gaze turned to Max. I see. You are human. Fascinating creatures. Rarely do you travel among others without fear. Max laughed nervously. Well, fear is relative. Lysera smiled. Then, unexpectedly, she gestured for Max to follow. Would you like tea? Max blinked. Tea? He wasn't expecting tea in an alien ship. But the invitation was genuine. Curiosity won over hesitation. Sure, he said. The interior of Lysera's ship was breathtaking. The walls shimmered like liquid metal. Soft lights embedded themselves in the panels. And the floor beneath Max's boots seemed to ripple faintly, almost like walking on water. The furniture was minimal, yet elegant, shaped in smooth curves that seemed to float just above the floor. Lysera led him to a small room with a table that seemed to grow organically from the floor itself. Sit, she said. Max did. Grivak floated beside him, humming softly. Lysera poured a liquid that glowed faintly into 3 cups. Max lifted his cup cautiously. The aroma was sweet, earthy, and strangely familiar. He took a small sip and found it warm and comforting. This is good, Max said. Lysera's smile widened. It is a brew from my home moon. It calms the mind and awakens the senses. Grivak hiccuped and spilled a little of his cup. Lysera waved her hand and a small tendril of light swooped down, cleaning it instantly. No harm done, she said gently. The 3 of them sat together. And for the first time that night, Max felt welcomed. There were no expectations, no danger, no alarms. Just tea, soft light, and the hum of an alien ship. After a while, Lysera gestured toward the wider ship. Would you like a tour? Max's eyes widened. A tour? Yes. You brought Grivak safely. You are curious. Curiosity is a trait we admire. Grivak floated in excitement. Tour! Tour! Human! See home! Max chuckled. All right. I'm in. Let's see what your place looks like. Max chuckled. Max chuckled. I'm in. Let's see what your place looks like. Max chuckled. Max chuckled. Max chuckled. Max chuckled. Max chuckled. Max chuckled. Lysera's smile was serene. Then follow me. And so, Max began walking through the shimmering corridors of an alien ship, guided by beings who were unlike anyone he had ever met. The walls seemed to pulse gently with life, and Max could feel the subtle vibrations of the ship itself, like it was aware of his presence. As he followed Lysera and Grivak, he realized that this was no ordinary mission. No, tonight had begun with a simple act of kindness, helping a drunk alien get home, but it was already turning into something extraordinary, something that would change how he saw the galaxy, the species within it, and maybe even himself. And Max knew, with a quiet certainty, that this was only the beginning. Max followed Lysera and Grivak down the glowing corridors of the ship. The walls seemed alive, shimmering with colors that shifted gently, like sunlight dancing on water. Max had never seen technology like this before. Even the floor seemed to respond to his steps, rising and falling slightly as if guiding him forward. Is your ship alive? Max asked, careful not to sound rude. Lysera smiled. Not alive, in the way you mean, but it is aware. It senses those who move within it. It adjusts to make them comfortable. Max raised his eyebrows. Humans had designed AI and responsive machines, but this was something else entirely. This was art and intelligence combined into one living structure. Grivak floated ahead, humming his tune. Home. Much bigger than I remember, he said. His words slurred but his tone proud. Max laughed. You're lucky, huh? Your partner has a very nice ship. Yes. Lysera built it, Grivak replied. He paused, floating closer to Max. You help me. Thank you, Max nodded. No problem. That's what friends do. Or friendly aliens, I guess. Lysera turned and gestured to a room at the end of the corridor. The door slid open silently, revealing a chamber filled with floating orbs of light. Each orb projected a holographic image of a different planet or moon. Some spun slowly, some flickered with storms, and others showed alien cities with tall, twisting towers. This is our observation room, Lysera said. We watch the galaxy from here. We learn, we understand, and sometimes, we dream. Max stepped inside, marveling at the display. He had seen star maps before, but these were alive. Each image seemed to react to his presence, spinning faster as he leaned closer, slowing when he moved away. It was like the ship itself was teaching him. Wow, Max breathed. This is incredible. I've never seen anything like it. Lysera's eyes glimmered. Most species do not. We prefer to share it with those who show respect. Grivak floated toward one of the larger orbs. Human? See Earth? Max laughed softly. Earth? Yeah. I can show you. He walked to one of the control panels and pressed a few buttons. Careful to follow the strange symbols, the orb shifted, showing a blue and green planet spinning slowly. Oceans sparkled, clouds drifted across continents, and city lights glittered on the dark side. Grivak's eyes widened. Home. Bright. Warm. Water. He hummed happily, then floated over to Max. You. Help me. Show me. Yours. Max felt a warmth in his chest. Humans often believed they were just small, insignificant creatures in the vast galaxy. But here, in this glowing alien ship, his knowledge mattered. His small act of helping a drunk diplomat had led to this. He could share Earth, a world familiar to him, with beings who had never experienced it. Lysera's melodic voice broke his thoughts. Would you like to see more? Max nodded eagerly. Yes, please. I want to know everything about your ship. Lysera smiled again, her eyes gleaming with a mixture of pride and amusement. Then follow. The next corridor was wider, and the walls were smooth like glass. Light flowed along them in streams, almost like rivers. As Max walked, he realized the floor beneath his boots was actually soft, like stepping on moss. The ship seemed to cushion every movement. They arrived at a large chamber filled with floating platforms. Each platform had a different environment. One was a mini forest. Another a shallow pool with glowing fish. Another a sand-like surface with tiny crystal formations. This is our recreation area, Lysera said. We believe in balance. Mind, body, and spirit. Each area allows us to relax and learn at the same time. Max stepped onto the forest platform. The air smelled faintly of flowers he couldn't name, and soft sounds of alien birds filled the space. This feels amazing, he said, reaching out to touch a glowing leaf. It pulsed gently under his hand, almost like it was alive. Grivak giggled and floated onto the pool platform. Swim, human? Max laughed. I don't think I'm ready for that yet. Lysera's eyes twinkled. Curiosity is good, Max. Humans are very curious creatures. It is why you survive. It is why you thrive. Max felt a little pride swell in his chest. He had never thought much about humans being special. But here, in this alien world, it seemed that their adaptability, kindness, and curiosity really stood out. After exploring the recreation area, Lysera led Max to a long corridor that ended in a large dome. The dome's ceiling was transparent, showing the stars outside in breathtaking detail. Small lights moved along the edges of the dome, charting the positions of nearby ships and planets. "This is our navigation and research dome," Lysera explained. "We study stars, planets, and life forms. And sometimes, we predict events. Not always perfectly, but often enough to be careful." Max stepped closer to the console. It was covered in symbols and holographic projections that shifted as he approached. "Do you really predict things?" he asked. Lysera nodded. "Not everything, but patterns exist. Curiosity, observation, and care allow us to learn faster than most species. Much like humans. You observe, and you adapt. You survive." Max smiled. "Yeah, humans are good at that. Humans are good at that." Lysera turned her gaze toward him. "And that is why we invited you. You helped Grivok without hesitation. That shows something rare. Compassion, quick thinking, courage. You remind us that small beings can have great impact." Max felt humbled. He was just a shuttle pilot, not a hero. But hearing this from an alien who clearly understood the galaxy in ways he could not made him feel proud. Grivak floated toward a nearby console and accidentally pressed a few buttons. A holographic map of the galaxy expanded in front of them. "Oops. Human? Help?" Max leaned over, examining the controls. "Sure, let's see. This shows where you are, nearby planets, and other ships. It's like a big map." Lysera watched silently, letting him explore. Max adjusted the map, zooming in on a small cluster of moons. He realized that he could understand the patterns and logic of this alien interface. The ship was advanced, but not impossible to comprehend. Humans had always adapted to new technology, and he found that even here, his instincts worked. Grivak floated closer. "Human? Smart? Teach me?" Max laughed. "You're smart too." For the next hour, Max and Grivak explored the systems together. Max showed the alien how to rotate the map, zoom in on planets, and track moving objects. Grivak's golden eyes shone with excitement, and Max found himself enjoying the company more than he expected. Lysera watched quietly from the side, occasionally offering guidance. Her presence was calm and reassuring, like the gentle hum of the ship itself. Max realized that humans had something unique: the ability to build trust quickly, to teach and learn, and to connect with others, even beings from a completely different world. When they finally paused, Grivak floated to Max and said, "You help me much. Teach. Human. Good." Max smiled. "No problem. That's what friends do." Lysera nodded. "And that is why humans are remarkable. You combine curiosity, kindness, and courage. You may not always realize it, but these traits allow you to influence the galaxy in ways others cannot." Max felt a strange mix of humility and pride. He was just one person. Yet here, he had made a difference in the life of another species. And somehow, that felt important. As they left the dome, Lysera gestured to a small corridor leading downward. "We have one more place to show you. It is personal. It reveals something about our culture, our past, and our values." Max's curiosity flared. "I'm ready." Lysera smiled. "Then follow, and be prepared to see the galaxy in a different way." As they moved deeper into the ship, Max felt a sense of anticipation. The night had begun with a simple act of kindness, helping a drunk alien diplomat. But it had grown into something extraordinary. He was seeing the galaxy through alien eyes, learning, teaching, and connecting. And somehow, he felt that his journey was just beginning. Max followed Lysera and Grivak down a narrow corridor, illuminated by soft, flowing lights that made the walls appear alive. The ship seemed to hum around him, a constant vibration like a gentle heartbeat. Each step Max took felt like walking through a living organism, as if the ship itself was aware of his presence and approving of it. This corridor leads to our heritage chamber, Lysra explained, her voice melodic. It contains artifacts, stories, and memories passed down from our ancestors. Max raised an eyebrow. Stories? In your ship? Lysra smiled. Yes. Memory is precious. We preserve it so we never forget who we are. And sometimes, we share it with others who deserve to see. Grivak floated ahead, eager as ever. Human. See history? Max chuckled. I've always liked history. I'm curious what yours looks like. They arrived at a large, oval-shaped chamber. The walls shimmered with translucent panels, each showing faint images that moved like reflections in water. As they entered, the panels brightened, revealing scenes from Lysra's civilization. Alien cities, ships traveling through the stars, peaceful ceremonies, and explorers discovering distant moons. This is our legacy, Lysra said. Each panel tells a story of courage, discovery, and compassion. We believe that knowledge of the past guides the present. Max felt a shiver of awe. Humans had history too, but this was different. The aliens did not simply record events, they celebrated them. Every action, every invention, every connection was preserved in glowing detail. Grivak floated to one panel that displayed a large crystalline city. That, my homeworld? He asked, a hint of pride in his tone. Lysra nodded. Yes, but the city changed when we traveled into space. Many left to explore the stars. Grivak's journey is part of that story now. Max studied the images carefully. He noticed the attention to detail, the way light reflected off crystal towers, how inhabitants moved with grace and purpose, and the clear signs of care in every design. It reminded him of human cities, but more harmonious, more intentional. Your people build beautiful places, Max said. Lysra tilted her head slightly. Thank you. But beauty is not only in structures. It is in thought, action, and respect. Humans, you understand this too, in your own way. That is why I invited you here. This Riolantu. The Seperlive Riolantu. This Riolantu. This Riolantu. This Riolantu. Max felt a surge of pride, mixed with humility. Here he was, a simple shuttle pilot. Yet these beings so advanced, so different were acknowledging human traits he often took for granted. Curiosity, compassion, and adaptability. Grivak floated beside him, pointing at another panel. See, human, brave. You. Max smiled. I just did what anyone would do. Lysra's gaze softened. Perhaps. But small acts of courage ripple across the galaxy. Humans, you rarely realize the impact you have. They move deeper into the chamber. And Max noticed a panel displaying a galaxy with small points of light scattered across it. Lysra gestured toward it. This map shows missions, travelers, and important events. Many species work together. Many fail. We observe and record, hoping that learning will guide future decisions. Max leaned closer. So, this is like a big warning system? Lysra shook her head. Not a warning. Guidance. Observation. Understanding. You see patterns faster than many species, Max. Your kind notices, adapts, and persists. That is a gift. Max felt a warmth spread in his chest. Humans had always been underestimated, often called weak or short-lived in the cosmic sense. Yet here, an alien being acknowledged their strengths. It was a validation he hadn't realized he needed. Grivak drifted to a panel showing explorers facing storms on a distant planet. Human, storms. Scary? Max chuckled. Yeah, sometimes. But humans figure out ways to survive. We build shelters, make tools, work together. We adapt. Lysra's melodic voice filled the chamber. And that is why humans are respected. Not because of strength alone, but because of resilience, creativity, and compassion. You learn, you teach, you protect. That is a rare combination in the galaxy. Max paused, taking in her words. He had never thought of humans as particularly special. But in this alien world, his traits, the very things that seemed ordinary to him, were extraordinary. They arrived at a large circular platform in the center of the chamber. As Lysera stepped onto it, the platform lifted slightly, revealing a holographic projection of their home system. Planets, moons, and asteroid belts rotated slowly around a bright star. "This is our home system," Lysera said. "We study it, protect it, and remember it. Each planet holds lessons and memories. Each journey we make adds to our understanding." Max examined the projection. He could see the delicate balance of moons and planets, the paths of travelers, and even faint signals showing recent exploration missions. It was stunning. "You really keep track of everything?" Lysera nodded. "Not everything, but we try. Observation is a form of care. Understanding is a form of respect. Humans, you do this too. In your way. Your species explores, records, and learns. That is why you survive and thrive." Grivok floated beside him, pointing at one of the moons. "That, where I learn first." Max smiled. "I get it. It's like your training ground. Everyone starts somewhere." "Yes," Lysera said softly. "And sometimes, a guide from another world can make the difference between confusion and clarity. That is why you are here, Max. To share and to witness." Max felt a sudden sense of purpose. He had never considered that a simple act, giving a ride to a drunk diplomat, could lead to this. Yet here he was, in an alien ship, witnessing history, teaching, and connecting with beings far more advanced than him. Lysera gestured toward a small console beside the platform. "Would you like to try?" Max raised an eyebrow. "Try what?" "To guide an observation," Lysera said. "The projection responds to curiosity. You may focus on a planet, a moon, or a mission. See what interests you. The ship will adapt." Max hesitated. Then, curiosity won. He placed his hands near the console, and the projection responded, zooming in on a small blue planet far from their home system. "That one looks interesting." The projection sharpened, revealing oceans, forests, and small settlements. Max's heart skipped a beat. It's alive, real life. People live there." Lysera nodded. "Yes. Life exists in many forms. Observation is our way of learning. Humans, you do the same. You watch, you learn, and you create solutions. That is why you are remarkable." Max leaned closer, fascinated. He could see patterns, resources, and even signs of adaptation. The projection responded to his curiosity, expanding and highlighting areas he found interesting. Grivok floated beside him, eyes wide. "Human. Smart," Grivok said softly. "Teach. Others." Max smiled. "We humans try. We notice. We share. We fix what we can." Lysera's melodic voice echoed. "And that is why humans matter. Not because of strength alone, but because of insight, adaptability, and compassion. You touch lives, even when you do not know it. Small actions, great consequences." Max felt humbled. He had always seen himself as ordinary, but in this moment, he understood something vital. Humanity had a power that many species underestimated. Their curiosity, kindness, and ability to adapt made them indispensable. After a while, the projection slowly faded, and the platform descended back to the floor. Max stepped back, feeling a mix of awe and humility. Lysera turned to him. "Now you have seen a part of our history, our culture, and our way of thinking. You understand, in part, the galaxy is not just stars and planets. It is connection, understanding, curiosity, compassion. Humans, You embody these traits naturally. Max swallowed hard. I didn't know humans were noticed like that. Lysera's eyes twinkled. You are. And tonight, you have proven that small acts of kindness and curiosity ripple far beyond your world. Grivak floated over, humming softly. Human hero? Not like others. Different. Max chuckled. No, not a hero. Just curious. Just helping. Lysera smiled. Helping is enough. That is how change begins. That is how civilizations learn. That is why we invited you. That is why we remember you. Max felt a strange sense of pride. He had not set out to impress anyone. Yet here he was, recognized by beings far more advanced than himself. He had acted simply because it was the right thing to do, and it had led him to this moment. As they left the heritage chamber, Lysera gestured toward another corridor. There is one last part to show you. It is practical. It involves creativity, problem-solving, and human ingenuity. Are you ready? And we're climb. Are you ready problem-solving the pros? Are you ready problem-solving the pros? Are you ready problem-solving the problem-solving the problem-solving the problem-solving the problem-solving the pros? Max's curiosity flared again. I'm ready. Grivak floated excitedly. Human, smart, do good. Let's go. Max smiled. He didn't know what awaited him next, but he knew one thing. Being human had brought him this far, and somehow, he had a feeling that it would continue to open doors he never imagined existed. And so, with renewed curiosity and quiet pride, Max followed Lysera and Grivak deeper into the alien ship, ready for the next adventure. Max followed Lysera and Grivak down a corridor that seemed narrower than the others, but the walls shimmered with the same gentle glow. He had begun to feel more comfortable aboard the alien ship. The strange lights, the living walls, and the soft vibrations beneath his feet no longer intimidated him. Instead, they fascinated him. Lysera's melodic voice broke his thoughts. This section of the ship is our innovation wing. Here we combine creativity, observation, and practicality. You humans excel at this. We are curious to see how you handle a challenge. Max raised an eyebrow. A challenge? Lysera smiled. Yes. A small problem exists, and we would like your perspective. Sometimes solutions are simple, but human insight makes them remarkable. Grivak floated excitedly. Human. Do smart. Fix. Max chuckled. All right. Let's see what we're dealing with. They arrived at a circular chamber filled with floating panels, each displaying a different system of the ship. Some showed energy flows, others environmental controls, and a few displayed life support systems. A small warning light blinked on one of the panels. This is the energy regulation grid, Lysera explained. It maintains balance between power sources and the ship's systems. A minor disruption has occurred. It is nothing serious, but we would like to see how a human would approach it. Max stepped closer. The panels responded to his presence, highlighting different nodes and circuits. He had experience with complex machinery back on Earth, but nothing like this. Still, he noticed patterns the way energy flowed, where small discrepancies appeared, and the logic behind the system's design. Max muttered. The system is overcompensating in one sector, causing minor instability elsewhere. Pretty clever design, but even clever systems need an outside perspective sometimes. Lysera tilted her head. Proceed, Max. Observe, deduce, act. Grivak floated beside him, eyes wide. Human? Genius? Maybe. Max laughed. We'll see. He reached out and carefully touched one of the floating nodes. The node responded, opening a detailed schematic of the energy flow. He traced the lines with his fingers, observing how power shifted from one sector to another. This node here, Max said, pointing to a glowing sphere, is sending too much energy to the secondary systems. It's causing minor feedback loops. The solution is simple. Redistribute the load slightly and recalibrate the regulator. Lysera's glowing eyes brightened. You see, quickly. Efficiently. Insightful. Max nodded and followed the ship's interface prompts. His hands moved naturally, tracing patterns, pressing nodes, and making small adjustments. The system pulsed in response. Energy flows evening out. The warning light stopped blinking, replaced by a calm, steady glow. Grivok floated closer, bouncing slightly. Human. Magic. Fix problem. Max laughed. Not magic, just logic, observation, and a bit of trial and error. Lysera's melodic voice echoed through the chamber. This is remarkable. A human's approach is direct, intuitive, yet careful. Many species would spend hours debating. You act, and yet you respect the system. That is rare. Max felt a small swell of pride. He had never thought of himself as extraordinary, yet here, on a ship unlike anything he had ever seen, his simple human logic had solved a problem that might have puzzled other species for hours. Grivak floated over, golden eyes wide. Teach. Human. Smart. Fix. Max grinned. All right, I'll show you what I did. First, you identify the node causing the issue. Then, you trace the energy path. Observe where the overload occurs. And finally, you make small adjustments. Not big ones. Balance is key. Grivak nodded eagerly. Balance. Got it. Lysera floated closer. Human insight is elegant. It is a reminder that complexity is not always solved by complexity. Sometimes, a fresh perspective, a different way of thinking, is what is required. Humans, you provide this naturally. Max felt humbled. Humans often underestimated themselves. They thought they were small, insignificant, slow, or weak compared to other species. Yet here, aboard a ship of beings far more advanced, his natural problem-solving abilities had made a difference. As they moved to another section of the innovation wing, Max noticed a series of panels showing different ecosystems simulated aboard the ship. Some displayed alien forests, oceans, and deserts. Others showed floating habitats with strange plants and animals he had never seen. These are experiments, Lysera explained. We simulate environments to test life forms, growth patterns, and adaptability. It is a form of learning. We would like your opinion on one of these simulations. Max stepped closer. A holographic forest filled the space, complete with towering crystalline trees and glowing streams. Small creatures moved among the foliage, interacting with plants in surprising ways. What's the problem? Max asked. Lysera gestured. The ecosystem is not stable. Certain species are overpopulating, others underperforming. We are seeking a balance. Perhaps human insight will provide an unexpected solution. Max studied the simulation. He could see the patterns. The overpopulation of one species led to resource shortages, which caused some plants to die, affecting the rest of the environment. Okay, Max said slowly. If we shift the population slightly, introduce a controlled predator or a balancing factor, the ecosystem will stabilize, not by removing species entirely, but by adjusting interactions. Lysera nodded. Explain further. Max smiled, feeling in his element. Balance is always about relationships, not dominance. You want everything to survive, but unchecked growth creates instability. If we redistribute resources, slightly limit some populations, and encourage natural checks, the system will self-regulate. It's like social balance. Everything works better when there's equilibrium. Grivok clapped his thin arms together. Human, genius, teach me. Max laughed. It's just observation and logic. Look, try to notice patterns first. See how everything is connected. Don't rush. Then make small adjustments. Not big ones. Always watch the results. Lysera's eyes glimmered with admiration. This is remarkable. Humans, you combine curiosity, observation, and compassion. You act, yet you respect. That is why you thrive. Max felt a sense of pride, tempered by humility. He had never thought of himself as extraordinary. Yet here, aboard a ship from a species far beyond humans, his natural traits had made a real impact. He had solved problems, taught, and connected in ways he had never imagined. After stabilizing the ecosystem simulation, Max and Grivak moved to another section of the innovation wing. This area was filled with small inventions. Devices that monitored air quality, tools that repaired minor ship damage automatically, and holographic teaching aids. Lysera gestured to one of the devices. This is a self-repair module. It is functional, but inefficient. Perhaps human insight can improve it. Max studied the device. It used a series of energy pulses to mend small cracks in the ship's hull. The pulses worked, but the timing was slow, and the energy distribution uneven. Max muttered. If you adjust the timing slightly and direct the pulses more evenly, it will repair faster with less energy. He made the adjustments. The device hummed, then efficiently repaired a test panel in seconds. Grivak floated beside him, eyes wide. Human magic again. Max laughed. Not magic. Just careful observation and trying different approaches. Lysera nodded. Your approach is simple, yet effective. Humans, your ingenuity is remarkable. You take what you know, observe carefully, and apply it practically. That is a gift many species lack. Max felt warmth in his chest. Humans were often underestimated in the galaxy. Yet here, his natural traits, curiosity, compassion, problem-solving, were recognized as valuable. He realized that humanity's strength was not in raw power, but in adaptability, creativity, and understanding. After completing the tasks, Lysera led Max and Grivak to a small observation deck overlooking the ship's outer hull. Stars glittered beyond, and distant planets moved silently in the void. You have done well, Lysera said. Tonight, you have shown courage, insight, and ingenuity. You have helped Grivak, observed our systems, stabilized simulations, and improved devices. Humans, you are remarkable. Max smiled, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. I just try to do what makes sense. I didn't expect any praise. Lysera's eyes twinkled. Sometimes, doing what makes sense is the most extraordinary thing of all. You act, you help, and you think. That is why we remember you. That is why you matter. Grivak floated beside him, humming softly. Human. Hero. Maybe. Max laughed. No hero. Just curious. Just helpful. Lysera's melodic voice echoed through the deck. Curiosity and compassion. These are your strengths. They guide you through challenges, create connections, and leave impact far beyond what you imagine. Humans, you are small in size, yet great in influence. Max gazed at the stars, feeling a quiet pride. He had started the night helping a drunk alien diplomat. And now he had solved problems, taught, learned, and left a lasting impression on beings far beyond his own species. And he realized something important. Being human was enough. Curiosity, kindness, and ingenuity were powerful forces. They opened doors, solved problems, and created connections that even the most advanced species valued deeply. As the observation deck shimmered in the starlight, Max felt ready for whatever came next. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries, and filled with beings he could learn from and help in return. And with humans by his side, he knew the possibilities were endless. The final corridor Lysera led Max through shimmered with soft, flowing lights that danced across the walls like liquid silver. The air vibrated slightly with energy, calm but alive. Max had grown more comfortable with the rhythms of the ship, and he walked with ease, though his curiosity was still burning. This section, Lysera said, her melodic voice echoing, is our gallery of connections. Here we honor beings who have influenced us, aided others, and demonstrated remarkable traits. You will see why your presence is valued. Max felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. A gallery? He had never expected anything like this. Humans weren't known across the galaxy for their heroism, at least not officially. Yet he had learned that aliens saw things differently. Small acts, thoughtful actions, and curiosity could leave a lasting impression. Grivak floated beside him, humming with anticipation. Human. See. Great. The corridor opened into a wide, circular chamber. Holographic displays floated throughout the room, showing beings from countless worlds interacting with each other. Some were explorers, some diplomats, and some everyday citizens who had performed small but meaningful acts. Lysera gestured toward the center. This section is reserved for those whose actions ripple across worlds. Here, we honor connection, curiosity, and ingenuity. Humans, you demonstrate all three. Max's eyes widened. He had never considered himself worthy of recognition in such a cosmic sense, yet seeing the displays of diverse beings who had impacted others, he began to understand. It was not power or fame, but the quality of one's actions that mattered. Grivak floated forward, pointing to a display. That, like, human? Max approached cautiously. On one of the holograms was a glowing symbol, a small Earth-like planet surrounded by light. The panel showed his recent actions, helping Grivak home, stabilizing the ship's systems, improving the ecosystem simulation, and teaching Grivak along the way. The records were simple, yet detailed, highlighting compassion, curiosity, and ingenuity. Max felt a strange mixture of pride and humility. He had acted without thinking of reward, yet here he was, recognized by a civilization far beyond his own. Lysera's eyes glimmered. Humans often underestimate themselves. You do not seek recognition, yet your actions inspire. Small acts of kindness, thoughtful decisions, and courage under unexpected circumstances create ripples across the galaxy. You matter. Max swallowed, feeling a lump in his throat. I didn't think it was that important. I just helped a friend. Lysera smiled. Importance is perspective. To you, it may seem small. To us, it is profound. Grivak hummed happily. Human, hero, maybe. Max laughed softly. Not a hero. Just human. Lysera's smile widened. Being human is enough. Max walked further into the chamber, observing the holograms of countless beings interacting. Some solved problems creatively. Some shared knowledge selflessly. And some simply cared for others in ways that made a difference. It struck him. Humans, in their simple, ordinary ways, possessed traits that were rare and valuable in the universe. Lysera gestured to a small console at the center. Would you like to leave your mark? Max raised an eyebrow. Leave a mark? Yes, Lysera said. A record of curiosity, kindness, and ingenuity. Not fame, not conquest, but a trace that demonstrates what humans contribute. Something others may learn from. Max hesitated for a moment, then smiled. All right, I think I understand. He approached the console, and a holographic interface responded. It displayed a blank space, waiting for his input. Max considered what to do. He didn't want to boast. He just wanted to share what humans could offer: observation, learning, adaptability, and compassion. With a steady hand, Max created a simple holographic message, a record of actions that valued connection, problem-solving, and respect for others. He highlighted small acts of kindness, clever solutions to challenges, and curiosity that led to understanding. It was humble, clear, and effective. Lysera watched with a gentle glow. Perfect. You demonstrate that humans influence the galaxy not by force, but by thoughtfulness, insight, and compassion. This is a gift many species underestimate. Grivak floated beside him, eyes wide. Human, amazing. Teach more. Human, smart. Max laughed softly. I'll keep teaching when I can. But curiosity is what matters most. Everyone can do something, if they pay attention and care. Lysera nodded. And that is why you are remembered. Because curiosity and compassion, these are forces that shape worlds. For a moment, Max simply stood in the center of the chamber, absorbing the feeling of recognition. He realized that being human had a power beyond physical strength, beyond technology, and beyond reputation. Humans had the ability to observe, to adapt, to understand, and to act with thoughtfulness, and those traits were extraordinary in a galaxy filled with complexity. Lysera gestured toward a window overlooking the ship's exterior. Beyond it, the stars shimmered, and distant planets rotated slowly in silence. The galaxy is vast. Many paths exist. Many beings explore it. Yet the impact of a single individual can be profound. Humans, you embody this truth. Max nodded slowly, feeling a deep sense of purpose. He had started the night with a simple act, helping a drunk diplomat home. And that act had led to discovery, teaching, problem-solving, and recognition from beings who saw value where humans often did not. Grivak floated up excitedly. Human, you saved me. You smart. You important. Max laughed softly, feeling warmth spread through him. I just did what I thought was right. Lysera smiled, her glow soft and welcoming. That is enough. That is what makes humans extraordinary. You act with reason, compassion, and creativity. That is why you survive. That is why you inspire. That is why the galaxy remembers you. Max gazed at the stars, letting Lysera's words sink in. He realized something profound. Being human was not about power, status, or fame. It was about the choices he made, the curiosity he pursued, and the kindness he showed. These traits, simple as they seemed, were extraordinary on a galactic scale. As they left the gallery, Lysera guided Max and Grivak back to the tea room. The warm glow of the cups, the soft hum of the ship, and the quiet camaraderie felt comforting. Max reflected on the night's events. From a small act of helping a friend, he had learned about alien culture, solved technical problems, stabilized ecosystems, and now had left a mark in a civilization far beyond his own. Grivak floated happily, humming the tune he had carried since the beginning of the night. Human? My hero? Maybe. Friend? Yes. Max laughed. Friend, definitely. Hero? No. Just human. Lysera smiled warmly. Human. Enough. That is all that is required. As the three of them sipped tea, Max felt a profound sense of connection. The galaxy was immense and full of mystery. Yet simple acts, curiosity, care, ingenuity, created bonds that spanned worlds. He realized that humans, often underestimated, had a unique place in this vast cosmos. They could observe, adapt, solve problems, and connect in ways others could not. And in that moment, Max felt proud not for himself, but for what it meant to be human. His species had survived countless challenges, explored countless worlds, and continued to thrive. They were small in size, yet immense in impact. Lysera's melodic voice broke his reverie. Max, your journey tonight demonstrates something important. Being human is a gift. Your actions, your curiosity, and your care are forces that influence the galaxy. Remember this. Max nodded slowly, understanding the weight of her words. I will. And I'll keep learning, helping, and observing. That's what humans do. Grivak floated beside him, giving a soft, approving hum. Yes. Human. Good. Very good. Max smiled, feeling warmth in his chest. The night had begun with a simple act, and it had become an extraordinary adventure. He had discovered that even ordinary humans could make a difference across the stars. And as he looked out at the endless expanse of space, he knew that this was only the beginning. Humans had the power to touch lives, solve problems, and leave a mark wherever they went. Small acts, curiosity, and compassion could ripple across galaxies, and Max Harrington, simple shuttle pilot and human, had just witnessed it firsthand. The stars outside glimmered like a promise. Humans had a place in the universe. Not because of force, not because of strength, but because of ingenuity, compassion, and the courage to act. And for Max, that knowledge was more powerful than any advanced technology, any alien artifact, or any distant world. Being human was enough. The shuttle pilot smiled, sipped his tea, and felt truly at home, not just on the alien ship, but in the vast, infinite galaxy that now seemed full of possibilities. He was human, and that was extraordinary.